What's good, YouTube? Hope all is well with you. DeValian here with Scout Team Sports, and we are back officially on the pre-recorded line. Want to shout out all of my subscribers. Appreciate all those who are subscribed and continue to support this sports channel here. We are getting back into it finally, into the college football season. Of course, the NFL will be following this coming week after the 3-day weekend, and going to talk college football here. Of course, you know what we're going to be heavy with, but once again, shout out to all of my subscribers, those who continue to support. Please continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe as we continue to grow this channel. As you can see behind me, we are making some changes. Had some technical difficulties, but we are trying to improve the studio here. And so humble beginnings, and I appreciate all of those who, like I said, continue to support while I'm trying to get this thing off the ground. And we're getting into it, though. We're going to start with a recap of the short that I made, the first YouTube short that I made for the football season this past week, and talking about Georgia Tech and Florida State. Hats off to Georgia Tech for getting the win in another country, which again should not have been there. College football now, I mean, to me it's bad enough that you put in regular season NFL games in other countries. Now you're doing it to college football. That's atrocious to me. All for some money. And those players, yeah, some of them are getting NIL deals. Not all of them are. Let's be real. Some of them are getting NIL deals, not all of them. So some of them, in fact, maybe even half the team, if not more, are going over there with nothing, with no guarantees, with no type of NIL money coming in or anything. So it's not like every single college player on every single football team has an NIL deal. And then teams are fan bases and parents and families that wanted to come and support them can't do that because they're in another country. But again, nonetheless, hats off to Georgia Tech for pulling off the upset over Florida State. And yeah, Florida State's definitely got some work to do. Georgia Tech looked strong. They look strong in terms of what I've seen in the past from Georgia Tech. They look stronger than I think I've seen them in quite some time. Next, we're getting into, of course, you know, we got to get to Coach Prime and Colorado. A lot of stuff to break down here when it comes to them slightly beating North Dakota State. This was their tune-up game. I get most other teams, even teams that are stronger than Colorado, have even weaker teams on their schedule as far as their cupcake game, if you will, their Division I AA or FCS team that they play. And Colorado had North Dakota State. North Dakota State is one of the top, if not the top still, FCS team that you could compete against. Now, if you look at the game, if you watch the game, the first thing that I pick up on in this football game that happened yesterday, North Dakota State looked bigger than Colorado. I mean, you had some linemen, you know, of course the linemen, offense and defense was the big, you know, are they going to improve or are they not? That's going to tell a lot about what they're going to do this season. I could say somewhat they matched up against them, but other than that, North Dakota State was bigger, stronger, more physical than the entire Colorado football team on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. Colorado looked bigger, they looked strong. I mean, North Dakota State looked bigger, looked stronger than Colorado. So, of course, Colorado was going to have to win this game by speed. That was the only way they were going to win this game, and speed and stamina won eventually, especially in the second half, because the Colorado defense was having problems in the first half, but then they stepped up and held North Dakota State to only 6 points in the second half, and they rallied from behind, being behind 20-17, down 20-17 at the half, to eventually win 31-26. Now, what a lot of critics are going to say, and the reason, you know, it's not about being a hater or anything like that. The biggest thing when it comes to critics, okay, And when it comes to what you want to see, what you hope to see, look, I'm not a critic. I want to see Coach Prime win. I want to see the Colorado team win. I want to see Shedeur win, Shiloh, especially with this being supposedly their last season in college before they go pro, as well as Travis Hunter. So I want them to do well because there's no telling what's going to happen after this season. If Shedeur and Shiloh are gone and Travis Hunter's gone, is Coach Prime going to stay? I have some theories on that, especially what's going on in the pros right now with one particular team. So I want to see them really do good this year. I want to see them get to a bowl game. I want to see them have a winning record. But the biggest thing is, did they improve from last season? Did they fix or correct errors or problems that they had from last year? If you have as a team and you're developing, you come into new problems, you come into new challenges, that's fine. That's us being human. We improve from the things that we had problems with or challenges with previously, and then we overcome those, and now we face a new challenge for a new season. That's perfectly fine. But if you have not learned from your previous mistakes, if you have not corrected the previous problems, if you have not overcome the things that were holding you back last year, that's when the critics really get, fuel to their fire. And guys like me who want to support us, like, man, if the haters are going to say some new stuff, okay, that's fine. But if they're saying the same old stuff and it's still true, that's a problem. And that's what I saw. Look, Shedeur is going to be Shedeur. He's going to carry the team. 26 for 34, 445 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Why did he have such a spectacular game? You could think, oh, it's because they were facing North Dakota State. No, not really. It's because they didn't have a running game. They could not run the football. They still could not run the football effectively. If you can't run the football effectively, I don't care if this is a passing league or in today's NFL and college football, it's about the passing game. You still have to be able to run the football when you need to and play good defense when you need to. And Colorado couldn't do that at all in the running game. We'll get to the defense in a minute. But they couldn't do it in the running game. Passing game, they had Travis Hunter, crazy, 7 catches, 132 yards, 3 touchdowns. Even in the passing game, the biggest thing is not Travis Hunter. I know he's going to do his thing. I know Shedeur is going to get him the ball, but the biggest thing is, can somebody else step up? And as long as other players step up on that offense, then the Colorado offense will be able to fare well, I believe. But if that's not the case, and it's just those two, Shedeur and Travis Hunter, who's going to continue to play both ways, and I don't care how great he is, eventually he's going to run out of gas. He needs help. If that's all that's going to come to play, it's going to be rough. It really is, in my opinion, going to be rough. So you look at time of possession. North Dakota State had the ball for 36 minutes and 44 seconds. And then Colorado had it 23 and 16. Total yards, 504 for Colorado to North Dakota State's 449. 9 total drives for both teams. And then you look at passing, of course, Colorado blows them out of the water. But again, it seems like they were just, North Dakota State was physically opposing on Colorado for the first half. Yes, they got touchdowns in the first half. Colorado did in the first quarter, 2 of them. But if you think about that, yes, it was a good test for them to see where they're at. But okay, let's just again stick with the offense. Shedeur got hit. Okay, Shedeur got hit and he got sacked. That one interception was off the defender's foot, freak accident type. I was trying to continuously replay it over again and see, okay, what was he seeing there? Because at first it didn't really look like the receiver was going to be open, but I could kind of see where he was expecting the receiver to be open. And I think maybe he anticipated a little too early, but again, he was under pressure. He was going to try to throw it in the ground near the goal line to where either his receiver could catch it toward the ground or it'd be incomplete to try to prevent it from being an interception. But because it just, the defender not even looking toward that way was reaching back and diving back and hit his foot, boom, interception. That's not Shadeur's fault. Because 99% of the time that's not going to happen. But Shedeur he shouldn't, even with this, I get this, North Dakota State, I get it, one of the best FCS teams. He should not have been sacked in this game. If he's going to get sacked in this game against this team, and yes, I said they look like they're bigger, they're more physically opposing, what's going to happen when, the regular, the conference games get here? Keep in mind who they still have to face. Arizona is over from the Big 12, and they face them in the Pac-12. Utah is over from the Big 12, and they annihilated Colorado last year, and they're back. So you got to face, they're in the same conference. And, of course, the Big 12 is bigger than it used to be. This is going to be a tough season. This is going to be tough. It does not get easier. And I get it. Coach Prime will embrace that. But even Coach Prime said he wasn't happy with the performance. Again, one more thing with the offense. It's going to take another playmaker. And, of course, that shows up in Jimmy Horn Jr. He's going to definitely have to ball out this year. Because, like I said, if Travis Hunter is going both ways, and when Travis Hunter is on offense, he's possibly double covered. That leaves Jimmy Horn Jr. Open, one-on-one coverage a lot. And so he's really going to have to shine in that passing game. But they need a running game. They need to be able to average 4 to 5 yards a carry. They need to be able to run block. Those offensive linemen need to be able to run block. And they need to be able to pass protect. Shedeur should not be getting tackled, should not be getting hit that many times, and should not get sacked, even though this is one of the best FCS teams. He should not have got sacked in this game. Should not have got sacked in this game. And he did. So that's what makes me nervous about, they won, but barely. And then, like I said, they look small against North Dakota State. Again, if they looking small against all the other teams that they're going to face in the Big 12, they're going to have to beat everybody with pure speed because they don't look physically opposing. They don't look like they could. They didn't look like they could. They looked like they wore out or they outlasted North Dakota State in the second half. They didn't overpower them. They didn't outmuscle them. They didn't out-physical them. Nothing like that. North Dakota State was bigger, stronger, and in some cases they were faster, but Colorado speed won out in the end. Colorado stamina won out in the end. Again, let's get to the defense. Warren Sapp is there. No pressure, no sacks until the second half, till the third quarter. No sacks until the third quarter, and they were just cutting up, slicing up. North Dakota State's offense was just slicing up the Colorado zone defense. I get it. Maybe you don't have guys that are good enough to play man coverage, but you've at least got to mask that thing. You've got to make it seem like you can play man coverage and play man coverage at least 25 to 30% of the time. Legitimate man coverage, not masking it. You play 25% man coverage, you play 25% zone coverage, and then that other 50% you're masking it the whole time. Maybe you show zone and you play man. Maybe you play man and you show zone. But they were just carving up that zone defense. They were carving up that zone defense, finding holes over the middle like it was nothing. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Yes, Shiloh's the most aggressive guy on the defense, but he's not a defense by himself. They need pressure. They need edge rushers. Even the guy who got the sack, the first guy who got the sack in the third quarter was an interior lineman. I'm like, what are the edge rushers doing? Why are you need edge rushers that can get to the quarterback. I don't care if they're playing shotgun the whole time. And in college, a lot of teams are going to play shotgun. Even with shotgun, you need to be able to get to the quarterback. You need to be able to flush him out of there, get him uncomfortable. And again, like I said, they outlasted them probably because they were faster, had more stamina, more speed. They outlasted North Dakota State, but North Dakota State looked like they were physically imposing and beating up on Colorado in the first half. And that strategy is not going to work throughout this season. So I'm hoping that they can make adjustments. I'm hoping that they can do better as far as line play. Again, their Achilles heel last season, couldn't run the football. Offensive line, defensive line, those are the same things that seem like they're the issue this go around. Those things need to be eliminated. Let it be some other new challenge that maybe they haven't experienced facing, and they can embrace a new challenge. That's great. But the same old stuff, I don't want to see Shedeur get severely hurt. Shedeur could get really hurt this season. Like if he doesn't get protection, if he has to throw the ball too much and it's all on him because they can't run the football, if the defense can't hold anybody to where they can just run out the clock at the end of the game, instead he's got to air it out to try to win it at the end every game, that's not going to work. So they have to be able to prevent those things from happening. They have to be able to run the football, drain clock when they have a lead. They need to be able to keep Shedeur upright, because Shedeur is not that much of a mobile quarterback. Yes, he can run, but he doesn't try to, and that's not really his game. He's a pocket guy, and he'll run when he absolutely needs to get a couple yards here, a couple yards there, but he's not a Lamar Jackson. So you've got to be able to protect him. You've got to be able to keep him upright. It seemed like they had got some good recruits in the offseason. But again, yes, this is the first game, but this was definitely a good test for them because, like I said, this wasn't a chump change cupcake game. This was not. This was a tough game for them. This was one of the best FCS teams that they could have faced. And yes, they got the win. Now they go to Nebraska next week, and yeah, you better be ready because I think Nebraska's going to want to. Nebraska hasn't changed their game plan in I don't know how long. They're still even in a passing league, they're still a ground and pound for the most part and play defense type of team. Can you win that type of football game? Remains to be seen. But nonetheless, Colorado gets the win, and the Buffs improve to 1-0. Other games in the Big 12, Utah, of course, smashes their cupcake game. Same thing with Kansas and UCF beating up on New Hampshire. That's funny. But you've got TCU and Stanford that will be coming up later on today. And then tomorrow we get into a lot of games where it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how things pan out. I'm really looking forward to Miami. They're going to play Florida. I'm pretty sure they're going to beat Florida. Florida is not what they used to be in Miami. It's been a long time since Miami's been on the up and up. That was back in the days of the early 2000s with Willis McGahee. That Miami has been really, really good and a championship contender. I think they could really do it in the oh man, don't get me started. ACC. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited just for college football. What I'm not really excited about is this whole college playoff new format. Now, was 4 teams not enough? Absolutely not. Was 12 teams enough? That's too much. I think 8 is the sweet spot. I really think 8 is the sweet spot. What's going to happen now because of what happened with the Pac-12 and the whole merging of teams when making 2 big mega conferences. The 2 mega conferences now, it's really SEC, the Big Ten, and everybody else. That's really what it is. You got them, and then following behind that is the Big 12 and the ACC. And then everybody else is going to be treated, in my opinion, probably as non-existent. If you have 12 teams, you already know at least 8 of those teams are going to go to the Big Ten and SEC. Even if that 4th place in the SEC and that 4th place in the Big Ten have a subpar average record, they're probably going to get the nod over other schools just because of where the conferences that they're in. So 8 spots go to the SEC in the Big Ten, maybe 5 to one and 3 to the other, or 4 and 4. Then the last 4 spots of that 12-team playoff game, 12-team playoff may go. You might go 2 teams to the ACC, 2 teams to the Big 12, maybe 3 teams. And the only way I see a team that's not in those 4 conferences, Big 10, SEC, ACC, and Big 12, the only way some other team gets into the college football playoff is if they go on an undefeated streak and they're that one team, like's happened before, where they were undefeated. Even though their competition was subpar, they might get a good win over a possibly low-ranked team, and they go undefeated, they run the table, and then maybe in the college football playoff, they get that 12th seed, and maybe they can upset in the first round. But that's all that's going to happen. That's all they can do. It's one thing, like, go back to Boise State. When they ran the table, they went undefeated, and they beat Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl. It's one thing to go undefeated and be the underdog, and you go up against a major powerhouse in Oklahoma. You win that bowl game. That's basically your championship, is completing a Cinderella season undefeated, getting to a major bowl game, and that's it. Now, after that happens, you've got to run the table 3 more times just to win a national championship, or you're continuing to compete. Even if a Cinderella team like Boise State, Hawaii, when they went undefeated, even if you get to the college football playoff and you get that 12th seed and you somehow get an upset in the first round, you mean to tell me that team is going to run the table? You mean to tell me that team is going to make it past the second round? It's going to be like the NBA playoffs, where the 8th seed or the 7th seed gets past the 1st or 2nd seed in the first round of the NBA playoffs maybe once or twice in every 10 to 15 years. You don't need 12 teams in a college football playoff. I get it. It's a money thing. It always comes back to the money. I get it. But 12 teams is too much. That's really all you're facilitating, is the hopes and dreams of one Cinderella team who's not in the 2 mega conferences or the 2 sub-mega conferences to go undefeated, maybe win that first playoff game. Woo, okay, and then they get smashed in the second round, because it doesn't get easier. And the whole point of that Cinderella team making it to a major college bowl is to win that one game, and that's it, not to run the table in a college football playoff. They don't have the stamina for that. So, again, I'm really not with the 12 teams. Like I said, most of those spots are going to go to the SEC and the Big 10, and then the Big 12 and the ACC are going to have to fight for the last 4, and maybe a Cinderella team from outside gets in with an undefeated season, and maybe they get past the first round, and that's about it. That's it. Because, I mean, imagine if a team like Boise State, and they go undefeated. You telling me they get past, I don't know, we'll just say Michigan in the first round. Then they got to go up against Ohio State. Then they got to go up against Georgia. Then they got to go up against Alabama. Come on. What are we talking about? Are we talking about reality? Or no, we're not talking about reality. We're talking about fantasy. This is college fantasy football. That's what this 12-team playoff thing is. Anyway, but yeah, that's my rant on the new format. I'm not with it. There's too many teams. I get you want to expand it because you're tired of that 5th seed or that 6th seed saying, oh, we should deserve to be in. Look, even with 12 teams, okay, 12 teams in the college football playoff, whoever is left out at rank 13 is going to be like, we should have got in because, and the 14th ranked team is going to be like, we should have got in because we did. What are you going to do? It's going to be that way whether you have 4 teams, 8 teams, 12 teams. Really not worried about that. So, I mean, come on. anyway, it is what it is now, and that's all we can do. But yeah, the college football playoff, I just, it's going to be money. It's going to be entertaining, I guess. And then the bowl games now, what do the bowl games actually mean now? What is it? Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl trophies? They're meaningless in my opinion now. Just winning them, it's like, okay, you win them, but you got to go on and win 2 more games. Okay, I guess. But nonetheless, we'll get to the rest of the schedule for the featured teams in college football the rest of this weekend. And again, the matchups I'll be looking at is I really want to see how good Miami actually is against Florida. I'm really looking forward to seeing Florida. I'm looking forward to seeing Iowa and seeing how they do. I will be at a local eatery near you to see those games. And of course, Clemson at Georgia. Definitely going to be keying in on that. 9 a.m. from what I'm seeing, and that should be Pacific time. And then, of course, 12 noon Eastern is when they will kick off. So you got to get up. You got to get up Saturday morning so you can watch you some college football. You got to get up. You can't be sleeping in. That's just how it is. Ohio State's facing their cupcake game. Not worried about that. Texas is facing their cupcake game in Colorado State. For them, I should say. For them. But yeah, Texas should win that game. And then Alabama is facing Western Kentucky. Ole Miss, I'm curious to see what Ole Miss can do this year as far as them making some headwaves in the SEC. Oregon, I think, is ranked too high to start the season, especially after losing Bo Nix as their quarterback. But I get it. They re-up. They're Oregon. The name carries a lot of weight. So we'll see how they do. I'm not big on Oregon in terms of, like I said, I don't think they should be ranked that high to start the season after losing Bo Nix. But on the flip side, it was like, okay, they're in the Big Ten now as well. Let's see what they can do as far as running the table in the Big Ten, how they do. USC and LSU. I'm very interested in seeing that, but that game is not till Sunday, and they're playing that at Allegiant Stadium. So that will be, I'll be very curious to see that part. And then, of course, Monday Night Football, college football, Florida State hosts Boston College. They'll already be on their second game. So this whole staggered week 1 is rather annoying to me, but nonetheless. But that's it for college football. So we'll have that take. We'll have our NFL first take after game 1. We'll do it next Friday night, and we'll have it after, and we'll recap Chiefs versus hosting the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to pick the Chiefs right off the bat just because I need to see. You know what you're getting in Pat Mahomes. You know what you're getting in the Chiefs defense, although I know the Chiefs defense is not altogether solid, even though they stepped up in the playoffs major last year. And that was the main reason why they won another Super Bowl, not Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes is going to do what he does, but he made a lot of mistakes, more so mistakes than he has made in past years when they won a Super Bowl. It was really that defense that played all right during the season and then really just amped it up against Buffalo, against the Ravens. Yeah. So and of course the Ravens defense has always been evenly solid. My curiosity is, what does that offense look like now for the Ravens? Now that you got Derrick Henry, he has to be able to take the load off of Lamar, and Lamar could just focus on being a quarterback and not have to force himself to run the football, to get yards, to get first downs, and to make big plays because nobody's open in the passing game and they can't run the football effectively. Derrick Henry has to be able to make an impact. But I don't know what this is going to look like. And the first game of the season, you're going up against last year's champions. So I'm going to pick the Chiefs to start off, but I'm hoping the Ravens win. But again, I need to see what that offense looks like. So until, that's just, to me, the smart pick for right now. But I'm hoping the best for somebody else to win a Super Bowl this season. I mean, be honest, I didn't even watch the Super Bowl this past year. I didn't. I was like, I'm not going to sit, just in case the Chiefs win, I don't want to see it. I did the same thing at AFC Championship game. I watched the NFC Championship game. That was a great game. And I was thinking the Lions were going. I couldn't understand why the Lions couldn't hold on for that. But I get it. Their defense just isn't where it needs to be yet. But yeah, I didn't even watch the AFC Championship game. Once the Chiefs got past the Bills in the second round, I was like, doggone it, I used some other words, but I was just, man, I was like, I'm not even gonna watch. If the Ravens beat them in AFC Championship game, fine, just do it. I don't need to see it. Just do it. I don't need to watch. Just do it. They didn't do it. The Niners gonna beat them in the Super Bowl. Okay, I don't need to see it. Just do it. Just do it, and I'll see. Oh, I'll see afterward. Hey, Niners won the Super Bowl. I don't need to watch, just in case, because that. So, man, come on. Struggles being a Raider fan. Struggles. But we look good. I love our defense. And, we're going with Ginsu Minshew at quarterback. And, Zamir White's going to have to run the rock. We're going to have to do running game and defense. And I'm not really confident about this new offensive scheme with getting this offense coordinator from the Bears. He wants to run 2 double tight. Minshew likes to throw to tall receivers, which is why they went double tight and got Minshew, because he likes to throw to tall receivers. So he's going to be throwing to Michael Mayer, and he's going to be throwing. He's going to be throwing to Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers a lot, and that's going to take away from Devontae. And you still need to get Devontae involved, and then trade Jacoby Myers, and then Trey Tucker, to me, are going to suffer because of that. And I'd rather see them get the rock more than I would like to see Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers get it. But that's the offensive run-in. They're going to do something different. Maybe Trey Tucker will run a lot of jet sweeps. You've got to utilize his speed some way, somehow. And I expect the defense to be solid. I hope for a good season. But yeah, we'll get into it. Again, more college football. And as we move forward now, when the NFL season is starting, we'll be splitting time on the show between college football and the NFL. And we'll ease into NBA as that season starts. But we won't be heavy on it right when it starts unless there's some big breaking news. But we're going to be football. This is very football focused, football heavy. And we are going to enjoy ourselves as best we can for college football and the NFL. So I appreciate, again, all of my subscribers. Please continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe as we continue to grow this channel. And appreciate your patience as I continue to try to make this channel better. Again, this is Devouring with Scout Team Sports. Believe until you stop breathing. We'll see you next Friday for the next show.